time for relaxation, peace, and reconnecting with nature. But what happens when the great outdoors turns into a nightmare?
Hey, camera! Give me your camera! Hey, camera! Hey, camera!
Today we're exploring chilling true stories of camping trips that turned into nightmares. After hearing these, you might just reconsider your next outdoor adventure. These chilling tales are not your average campfire stories. These are real-life incidents that will make you question if it's really worth venturing into the wild. Grab your flashlight, stay close to the fire, and get ready for some spine-tingling tales of camping gone horribly wrong. Our first story takes us to the dense woods of Mount Hood, Oregon, in 2008. Mount Hood is known for its stunning beauty, attracting hikers and campers from all over the world. But for one group, a peaceful trip turned into a nightmare. On a crisp autumn day, a group of friends set off for a weekend of hiking and camping on the mountain. The trip was supposed to be a simple excursion, but things quickly took a turn for the worse. Late one afternoon, one of the hikers, 25-year-old Sarah, went off trail to explore a nearby ridge. Her friends called out to her, but she didn't respond. Assuming she'd just wandered off for a bit, they didn't think much of it. However, as the hours passed and darkness fell, their concern grew. Sarah had disappeared without a trace. The friends searched the area until nightfall, calling her name and scanning the dense woods with flashlights. They reported her missing, and a massive search operation was launched the following day. Weeks passed, and authorities scoured the mountain's rugged terrain, but there was no sign of Sarah. It wasn't until several months later that her body was found, miles away from where she had last been seen. The strangest part? There were no signs of foul play, no indication that she had fallen, and no visible injuries. It was as if she had simply vanished into thin air. Some hikers report feeling an unsettling presence when they traverse that area of Mount Hood, and rumors spread that the mountain is cursed. Was Sarah the victim of something sinister hidden in the forest, or did she just become another tragic story of someone lost to the wilderness? We may never know. What do you think happened to Sarah? What's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you while camping? Let us know in the comments. Next, we head to the Shenandoah National Park in Virginia. For most people, Shenandoah is a dream destination, lush forests, cascading waterfalls, and breathtaking vistas. But for one couple, in 2014, it became a nightmare they would never forget. Kate and Jason, a thrill-seeking couple in their late 20s, set out for a backcountry camping adventure, eager to escape the crowds. They pitched their tent deep in the wilderness, far from any familiar trails. As darkness settled in, they sat by the crackling fire, roasting marshmallows and dreaming about their future. But an unsettling sensation crept over them. Something felt off, a lingering unease, an unshakable feeling that they weren't alone. Have you ever felt that eerie sensation that someone or something is watching you? At first, it was just an eerie sensation, but it soon escalated. They heard footsteps outside their tent, slow, deliberate steps, as if someone or something was pacing around them. Thinking it was just another camper or animal, they brushed it off. But then they heard a voice. A faint whisper cut through the still night air, barely audible, yet unmistakable. "Leave, now!" The words sent an icy shiver down their spines, their blood running cold. Terrified, Kate and Jason grabbed their flashlights and looked around. There was no one in sight, but the footsteps continued, moving closer and closer. Panic set in as they realized that whatever was out there knew they were in the tent. After a few moments of silence, they packed up and bolted down the trail as fast as they could, not daring to look back. They later found out that several other campers had reported strange happenings in that same area, including hearing voices and feeling a presence nearby. To this day, no one knows what was lurking in the woods of Shenandoah that night, but Kate and Jason never returned to that part of the park. What's the one thing that would make you pack up and leave a campsite in the middle of the night? Let us know in the comments. In the deep woods of the Great Smoky Mountains, a family's camping trip would lead to one of the most terrifying experiences of their lives. This is the story of the Jenkins family, who went camping in the park in the summer of 2017. The family set up camp in a secluded area near the famous Appalachian Trail. They spent their days hiking and exploring, enjoying the beauty of the forest. But as night fell, strange things started to happen. Their dog, a German shepherd named Max, began acting strangely, barking and growling at the dark woods surrounding the camp. At first, the family thought it was just a wild animal, but the growling grew louder and closer. Then came the sound of something large moving through the brush. The family tried to reassure themselves that it was probably just a bear or deer, but the presence they felt was unlike anything they had encountered before. The situation escalated when something massive crashed through the trees just outside their tent. The family froze, hearts pounding in their chests. Whatever it was big. Too big to be a bear. Max barked furiously, but the creature's movements seemed calculated, deliberate. Suddenly, a deep growl echoed through the trees, sending shivers down their spines. Terrifying. The family grabbed their belongings and ran, leaving behind everything except the essentials. They sprinted down the trail, and by the time they reached a nearby ranger station, they were exhausted and totally out of breath. The rangers insisted it was just a bear, but the family remained convinced they had been hunted by something far more sinister. To this day, they refuse to set foot in the backcountry of the Great Smoky Mountains. Have you ever come face to face with a massive creature while camping? If so, let us know about it in the comments. In 2011, a group of friends decided to spend a weekend camping at Big Bear Lake, a popular spot in Southern California. The area is known for its scenic beauty, but what started as a relaxing weekend soon turned into a terrifying ordeal. On the first night, the group noticed something strange: a camper, parked far away from any other tents, with a dim light flickering from inside. The group thought little of it at first, but then, late in the night, they heard something outside their tent. It was the sound of heavy footsteps, and it wasn't an animal. When they peeked out, they saw a shadowy figure standing near their campsite, staring at them. The figure didn't move or speak, just stood there, unmoving, for what felt like hours. The friends were frozen in fear, unsure of what to do. By morning, the mysterious figure's camper had vanished without a trace. But the real shock came as they packed up to leave. Someone, or something, had rifled through their food supplies. Worse, their gear had been ransacked, as if someone had been searching for something. No one ever uncovered who or what had been lurking around their campsite. Locals whisper about strange happenings in the area, but the friends never found answers. One thing is certain: they've never dared to return. Next, we come to the chilling tale of two campers who totally vanished without a trace in Olympic National Park in 2015. Evan and Lucy, both experienced hikers, decided to venture deep into the park for a multi-day camping trip. Evan woke up in the middle of the night to find that Lucy was gone. He searched the campsite frantically, calling her name and scanning the dark forest with his flashlight, but there was no sign of her. The next morning, after hours of searching, he reported her missing. A massive search operation was launched, but strangely, Lucy was never found. The authorities combed the rugged terrain for days, but there were no clues, no footprints, no signs of a struggle, nothing. Then, a year later, hikers found a single item of Lucy's camping gear deep in the forest, miles away from where she had last been seen, but there was no other trace of her. Was Lucy taken by something or someone hiding in the depths of the forest? Or did she simply lose her way, never making it back to the tent? To this day, her disappearance remains one of Olympic National Park's greatest mysteries. What do you think happened to Lucy? Was she the victim of foul play, or did the wilderness claim her forever? Next, we head to one of the most famous national parks in the United States, Zion National Park in Utah. Known for its towering red cliffs and breathtaking vistas, Zion is a paradise for hikers and campers alike. But one family's camping trip in 2016 would forever change the way they viewed the park, and the wilderness as a whole. The Williams family, a mother, father, and two teenage sons, set out for a 3-day camping trip in the park's backcountry. They camped at a secluded site near the Kolob Canyons, an area known for its isolation. The first 2 days were spent exploring Zion's famous trails and enjoying the beauty of the park. But on the third day, things took a turn for the worse. That evening, as the sun began to set and the shadows grew long, the family sat around their campfire. The air was thick with the usual nighttime noises of crickets and rustling leaves. But then, They heard something that didn't belong. A soft, rhythmic tapping sound coming from somewhere in the darkness beyond their campsite. At first, they thought it was an animal, perhaps a woodpecker or a squirrel, but the sound grew more distinct, almost like footsteps. The father, Chris, decided to investigate. He grabbed his flashlight and cautiously moved toward the sound. When he returned, he was pale and visibly shaken. "It's not an animal," he said, his voice trembling. "There's something out there." The family stayed in silence as the tapping continued, getting closer and closer, until it seemed as though something was walking in circles around their camp. The strange, rhythmic noise grew louder until it abruptly stopped, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. In the eerie silence, another sound emerged, a faint whisper, almost imperceptible, like a distant voice drifting on the wind. "Leave, before it's too late." Then, suddenly, the voice grew louder, more urgent. "Leave, before it's too late." They never returned to that part of Zion. When they later recounted their experience to park rangers, they were met with confusion. No one had ever reported anything similar. Yet deep down they knew the truth. Something had been watching them in the canyon that night. And whatever it was, it didn't want them there. What do you think? Who or what was warning them to leave? From the mysterious vanishing of hikers to ghostly encounters with figures that should not be there, these terrifying camping stories remind us that the wilderness can be far more than just an escape. It can be a place where the unknown lurks just beyond the light of the campfire. And the next time you find yourself in the great outdoors, remember these chilling tales and ask yourself, what's truly out there, hiding in the shadows of the trees or waiting for you on the horizon? Stay safe and never forget, nature may seem peaceful, but it can also be unforgiving and filled with secrets that we might not be ready to uncover.